right, welcome back to the Roman Troll 2 Experience Radio Show on Facebook Live, Instagram Live. So my guest is here. She's an author, Danielle Fennell. How you doing this morning?
I am doing good. How are you?
Good, I'm doing good. How's your week?
My week was good. It was a little bit busy, but it was good.
Wonderful, wonderful. So basically we'll talk about your journey. She was an author, one of the authors that participated in Always Cafe 30th anniversary recently, 2 weeks ago. Well, 2 years ago, I'm sorry, a few weeks ago. She had wonderful time, wonderful experience. Also, she donated to the book bag drive a couple weeks ago, last Saturday as well. So, gave it to book bag. So before we get into what you're doing now, so can you tell us who was Danielle Fennell?
Sure. I am an author, a poet, a blogger. I am a Christian woman.
Okay.
I'm 34, about to be 35 next month.
Woo!
I come from a big family. We're very close-knit. Excuse me. I am the youngest out of 5 children. I've always had a love for writing, and I have a passion to just use my words to inspire other people.
Okay, so how did your love for writing start?
Probably growing up in church. I believe that set the foundation for my love for writing. I did a lot of things in church for like youth Sundays, for let's say Mother's Day and other special occasions. So I think that's what set the foundation for it.
Oh, right. So basically, what was your adolescence like? Your elementary years, your teenage years, and middle school, high school years like? What was that like for you as you were trying to find your lane for writing? So what was that like growing up for you?
Growing up, I was a very shy child.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of time writing and reading. I used to write poems, I used to write short stories, I used to write plays, and then I was very imaginative, so I would actually act out my plays.
That's good.
I would take on like the different accents that I imagined the characters having. So growing up, that's what I did. I just loved to write, I loved to read, and any opportunity I had to do it, I did it.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, did you go to college or anything?
I did. I didn't go straight from high school, but I went about 8 years later.
Oh, what was the delay for that?
So I'm just going to be honest, I didn't love school. I didn't love school. So when I graduated, I said, well, I'm just going to go into the working world.
Right.
And then when I got into the working world, I'm like, well, you probably need to go to school so that you can have a career as opposed to just a job.
Right. And
I chose my degree in English because that's the only thing I ever really felt passionate about. And if I was going to invest my time and my energy into going to school, I wanted it to be for something that I was really passionate about.
Okay, so you fast forward 8 years, you got your degree in English, right? English?
Yes.
Okay, so what did you do after you got your degree in English?
So I'm working. Well, I just graduated last May.
Oh wow! Congratulations.
Yes, I was going part-time, so that's why there's like
there's nothing wrong with that.
time in between. You're down and you're working full-time. Sometimes that thing drags out. Currently, I'm working as a proposal coordinator at a health insurance company.
Okay. So basically, the show is Roman Troll 2 Experience Radio Show. Pretty much the book, all the scripts Roman Troll 2, which says do not be conformed to this world, but they transform your mind. So basically everybody had a Roman Troll 2 moment in their life where they were conformed to this world, but they're transformed by God to do what God's called them to do. So, what was your Roman Troll 2 moment? When he asked it, it's like, look, I'm kind of doing this in the world, but now I'm transformed to do this for God now. What was that moment for you?
Well, I grew up in church my entire life, but I feel like that moment has been more recent for me, where I'm kind of at a place where it's like, I'm going to stand in the truth of who I am and what God called me to be. I don't care, what other people think about it. And I'm just going to be the woman of God that He called me to be.
Yeah. A lot of times we go from church and you kind of understand it, but when you really get older, you really start understanding about the purpose. And it's more to this than serving God. It's more than waving your hands and dancing and shouting. It's more about your purpose every day because somehow they need your purpose.
I agree. I have learned that it's such a difference in just going to church and being in a relationship with God. And I feel like that's the place that I am at, where it's like I'm not just going to church, but an actual relationship.
It's a relationship. And church is only four walls in the building. Church is in your heart, and how your relationship is, how you cultivate a relationship with God every single day when you not inside the building. Whereas reading your word, praying, fasting, yes, or doing things for the God that can be serving people. You know what I mean? That's what it's about. So basically, that's about serving people, about people that are maybe less off than you, or didn't have things that you had growing up, or you don't want them to be exposed to what you were exposed to while you were younger, so they could be better for yourself. So now talk about your book. So you're writing. So what made you decide to write a book?
Well, I didn't actually sit down with the intention of writing my book. I didn't. It kind of just came together because of the season of life that I was in.
Right.
It was just an accumulation of things, like with my health. I was going through issues on my job, friendships, relationships, and I was just overwhelmed. I was so just burdened down that I would just sit up at night like I couldn't even sleep. That's how heavy I felt.
Wow.
Sorry, I know I'm getting emotional.
Take your time.
So I was just going through just a very dark, heavy period in my life. And I would just sit up at night and I would just begin to write about the different things that I was going through. And my writing process has always been to just write out my feelings and then I would turn it into a poem later.
Right.
And so I ended up putting the book out because I figured if other people were going through some of the things I was going through, they could relate to it, but not only relate to it, but they would be able, it would help them to get themselves out of that sort of dark season of life, or, whatever they may have been going through and they didn't know how to transition out of it. I mean, sharing my experiences, it could help someone else.
Wow. That's what God wants, to be a testimony and not hold that stuff and sit that get out so someone else can be healed or be on the steps of healing process for that. So that's what I do, because that's what I went through a lot of middle school, high school, and in college actually, and it got so burned up and got emotional for me. So then that's why I came with it. It was by accident. It was by accident, and then I saw the result of the kids and the impact of the community. Now I'm doing this now because now I'm going to mental health now. It's really something that I'm doing my whole life. I never really acknowledged it. Yeah, I always had to speak for everybody. It was a mental issue. So now I'm trying to get our kids to be more enhanced about what's going on, to get the help they need now while they're young, while they're teenagers, and not for me, wait until my 30s. You know what I'm saying? Get the help. Get the help they need now so they can work on their future, come to great versions of themselves now while they're young.
And take the stigma off of it.
The stigma, you know what I mean? A lot of times, like I say, that's part of being conformed, because when you conform, there's not stigmas out there, not stigmas. But when you transform, you don't see no stigmas. You see peace of mind. And a lot of times, we got to change the word. A lot of times we hear that a lot of kids, hey, stop crying, stop crying. You know what I mean? Yeah. But when you cry, it's a sign of healing. You're letting go something.
Right.
That means you want to take that next step forward for your life. That's why crying is like, a lot of times trying to say the word, it's okay to cry because you let go of something. But now you're trying to get healed and you're trying to work for your better self.
And I feel like if we don't cry externally, then we end up crying internally.
Right.
And that's way worse.
Right. They say I don't want people and they hurt wrong people and they hurt people that really want to be your life, and now it's like, okay, this is like, what's going on? So that's definitely what you need. So basically, you did what was your first book, and what was the process like? You getting published it? What was it like for you?
So I ended up self-publishing because when I tried to send it to traditional publishers or editors, I got the same feedback. Oh, we don't really publish poetry, or we're not interested in poetry.
Wow.
Right. So I had to make the decision as to whether I was going to say, oh, if people weren't interested in the poetry book, I'm just not going to do it, or to go ahead and look into the process of self-publishing it myself because I believed in it that much and how it could help other people. So I did. I self-published it through Kindle Direct Publishing, which is a part of Amazon.
Right. Yeah, I did my first one. Was Kindle. So because sometimes like you get that too. But sometimes you get people. Plus, some people are just scam artists. You know what I mean? So and you gotta make sure you do it, because my first book was actually a poetry book. It was called Release. Because it's kind of like I used to write while I was in high school. I was writing high school because I was still talking to girls. So if my writing was my total mechanism because I couldn't talk to girls because I was actually I got braids at the time my sophomore year high school. So let me advance myself, made writing poems so I could tell how I felt.
And then you like kind of stick it in your locker?
Yes, I did say locker.
But you put your name on it so they knew that it came.
Yeah, for me, and then I did my yeah, I did that. I really did that. And then I did my senior year. I tried to get us to go to prom. They had us for 3 years, the freshman year, and we got close my junior year. So I wrote this long letter because I was trying to fuck myself. You know what I mean? I couldn't really talk about words. Writing out was best for me. I could express myself. The ideas came out, and I really went outside the box. But she didn't go prom with me. But we're still friends. You know what I mean? But it helped me keep my thoughts out there because I was a writer at that time. Then in college, I used to do like open mics once a month, and then I started writing. I got life habit. I started writing, and then I have all these phones saved up on my hard drive and my disc. And 2 people at that time saw my stuff. They're like, "You put it in a book." I was like, "Oh, okay." Like it's like 7 years ago. So I'm like, "Okay." So I put it in a book. It's called Release because a lot of people didn't know I wrote poetry. They only knew I wrote kids. They didn't see the other side of me that I used to write poetry, and they always talk about math. I love math. I never talk about writing. So I put it out there, and I didn't do it like a book signing like that. Like now, I didn't know that 7 years ago. So I just put it out there on Amazon, and then somehow some of my mom saw it. I put it on Facebook at the time. My aunt told my mom about it, so I kind of tried to keep it secret for a long time. But my mom saw it. She read the book. She loved it. So, and then a couple of months later, my teacher I worked with saw a book online. I didn't want to conflict with my business job, so I didn't want to get. I was profitable with them, but the teacher liked my book. So then I ended up writing a second book called Patty Way Did Student Tools for You to Be Great While They're Young. Talk about like self-esteem with scriptures, how to deal with prayer, how to deal with sex, the things that our teens were going through at that time. And it was really, really inspiring because that was probably my best work and I really didn't promote it. So, but that much, then I finally my book signed was 2 books 2 years ago. So, and I really want to promote it because a lot of people don't know I'm writing. A lot of people don't know what pain I went through. A lot of people don't know because sometimes you tell people and they're ignoring you. And it actually like, okay, and they go ghost on you. But when you tell the right person, they're going to believe in you. Right. So that's why I started writing. Because I want my first book, Transform Not Conform, the Patagonia story, how this turned to a business. Like, this wasn't supposed to be a business. I was supposed to do workshops, talk about their things, and that's it. Then, when God saw what I was doing, and doing what I was doing the right things, it magnified itself because the students were impacted so much. It changed the school culture. It changed the mindset of our kids and young people. So now I'll be 7 years in January. So I'm like, wow, okay, look, like this is really God. Cause my life's totally different. I won't be up here interviewing you because I'm about this platform. About you, your book. So what do you have plans for the book going forward? So you just published it, I think, and then you doing a tour or you doing a workshop on the book or?
So, like you originally, I put my book out and I didn't really tell too many people about it. I don't know. It's just so much vulnerability that goes into, poetry books and, like whatever type of book that you put out. And it's like you want to put it out, but then it's like the hesitation of, I don't know if I want people to actually read it. So I'm starting to do more now to promote it because what is the purpose of me having it if I'm not going to let people know about it?
Right.
So one of the things that I'm doing is, it's called an all-white night of poetry and panel discussions. It's going to be, I'm going to read some of my poetry, and then after I read each poem, I'm going to have a few ladies up there with me, and we're just going to talk about the topics of the poems. For example, I have a poem that deals with relationships, and so I'm going to then have a conversation about wholeness. Like being complete and satisfied, like in who you are in God, and knowing that like your wholeness and completeness isn't dependent upon a person, place, or thing. So that's one of the things that I'm doing right now to promote the book, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Okay, that's useful. I know that. Useful to understand that in a relationship because we talk about relationships and like that. Relationships affect your mental health. So, like, maybe friends that affect your mental health because of people that you're around with. You know what I mean? Are they sharing for you or are they talking about you? So that's one point. I think that's really good. You do like a panel and speaker talk about your poetry, how that affects the whole and overall nature of relationships. So, 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 the, so, so my next question was, so, you say you do the book tour. Do you have plans to write a second book?
I would love to write a second book. I don't know what it would be on at this moment. I am more intentional about only doing what God leads me to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to say, I'm going to write a book on X, Y, and Z if that's not, what God
Right.
asked me to do. So yes, I would like to write another book as God gives me an idea for it.
So you said you mentioned about doing a panel. What is there a date for that?
It is. It's August the 17th.
Oh wow, 2 weeks ago. Okay.
Yes.
You talk about more about it.
Well, it is on August the 17th. It is from 5 to 7:30. Tickets are available on my website, DanielleFennell.com. There's going to be food. There's going to be great conversation. There's going to be poetry. There's going to be raffles. So definitely, I invite you to go onto my website and get more information and get tickets if you're interested.
All right. There you go. You got points. You got points because the idea sounds really great. You know what I mean? That we have a conversation about poetry, talk about high times to them. Now you get their audience involved with that. You know what I mean? Now, plus you get more sales for your book. You know what I mean? Plus, so I think so. What's your book called? I'm sorry. This book called. I'm sorry.
It is titled "Crack a Window: Homes and Humans Need Ventilation."
Okay. So they good on Amazon, get that book, or?
Yes. You can go directly to Amazon, or you can go through my website and it'll link you to Amazon.
Gotcha. Okay. So you got notes over there. So is that a poem in there? You can share? I don't know.
I didn't bring. This is just because it's my first interview, and in case
Oh yeah, poem in there.
I can recite one.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
If you would like. So I'll do one titled "Imprint." Like a tiny raindrop in a giant ocean, trying to make a splash, a wave, a ripple. Getting tossed and thrown until camouflaged and unidentifiable. Like trying to leave footprints while walking in quicksand. Having each step sink through it, preventing a lasting impression on land. I feel like a small speck, trying to make a big impact. Aspiring to build an empire out of a tiny little shack. Striving to leave a legacy that accounts for my earthly space, instead of when the time comes, simply being gone without a trace.
Wow. Okay. Wonderful. So like I said, you get that poem in her book. So you can post it online, Amazon.com, and also, like I said, go to her event. Check out DanielleFennell.com. Check out the event page or event Saturday, August 17th. The All White Fair, right? All White Fair. The details, location, the price as well. Come check her out because she's a dope writer and she's definitely put it out there. Just come support her for her book. Be about supporting people that are doing great things in our community, that are doing things that are outside the box. So a lot of times we need that. Sometimes we gotta do things differently. To get what we want. So. Do you have any final words for the audience today about any advice you will give to them? So about whether it's about writing a book or being a Christian woman, what advice you give to them?
The advice that I would give everyone is if you are in a season of life where you feel perhaps stuck, you don't know what direction to go in, strengthen your relationship with God, allow Him to direct your path. He is able to shift you from wherever you are to a totally different place in life. He did it for me, so I promise you He's able to do it for you as well.
Amen. That's why you get we all got the shifts, different shifts in life, So, and I also believe that when good blessings come from God, I learned this from this. We do something uncomfortable.
Yes.
We do so basically like a lot of times the world wants us to not go to church.
Right.
Not go to church. Going to church is really uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? And then and then doing things what God's called you to do is uncomfortable because a lot of times you have people come at you, you do this, that, third, A, B, C, D. But when you think that for God, God will open up doors for you. You know, He'll bless you, He'll give you that peace. You know what I mean? Even though it's not gonna be like easy, but He'll give you peace, my peace, because He knows you do it for Him. And He's not doing it for people, please people, doing it to please God.
Yes.
So that's very, very important that we continue to do things for God, because that's all where it comes from. It's not about likes or views or reward, but that comes will go away. But also the reward for God is us going to heaven, knowing that we did the work we were called to do, that He still say, well done, my good faithful servant. That's the ultimate, that's the ultimate reward. So thank you so much for you. Yeah, thank you for being on my show. Thank you so much. I know I got to leave you nervous questions, but thank you so much for being a guest on my show.
Thank you so much for
to talk about your book, because about your journey, because we hope that another lady will be inspired, to go on her journey to fix those walls and relationships, and be the best way that you inspire someone today. So thank you so much for being part of our show. So for those, we're actually wrapping up. So I hope that you watch on Facebook Live, and we got someone say that Keisha says she's proud of you. So Keisha Green, she said she's proud of you for the work you're doing. So I don't know if anybody on here, someone right here, but we are definitely proud of you what you're doing, because really outside the box, and you keep writing, keep going, share the book. You know what I mean? Because share the book, because I might have you come and talk to my kids about it.
Okay.
Yeah, talk about your poem, about your journey, because a lot of times we want our young girls to break that cycle that you went through, so they can go through it down. You know what I mean? So wherever that thing is right now, finding themselves and finding who they really are, we want them to break that cycle now instead of carrying that till they get 18, 19, 21, making one decision, be one bad people, and they being sidetracked from what God's called them to do. So we want them to break that cycle. So that's something that we want to talk about, you know what I mean? Maybe, because a lot of times our youth might hear your story, you know what I mean? Because even though they may not be Christian, but they can relate to someone, so, but it's very, very important that we continue to be transparent, be honest with ourselves, and know that it's okay to put ourselves out there, it's okay to cry, it's okay to be vulnerable, but you know what I mean? So, because once you're vulnerable, God will see that you are trying to go to the next level. So thank you so much for being part of my show. That's a wrap for our show. We're going to cut off. We're about to end the show again. For those who are one of four, we're going to do there's a job fair for those 18 and over. Trump came representing 1 to 4 for those who are looking for a job, maybe for something different in their lives, or a transition. Please come out supporting the free event. You did West Online, still come for next. We will be back here next Saturday for our next show. We grill on the show, and another female guest on the show. So we try to make sure that you get her, we get what you feeling, what you value. So hopefully you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Be safe, be blessed, and be humble. So we do have a good day, and hope a good week next week. Have a blessed Saturday, everyone.